In this lecture, we are going to discuss about a for with a continue statement. So there is a keyword called as continue which exists inside a Python. Now, so in this lecture, I'm going to show you how we can use a continue and we can try to skip some of the event based on some of the conditions. So let's get started, guys, and let's try to understand this entire part with the help of a couple of examples. So let's suppose we have a data over here, and now I'm going to write range 10. So now range 10 will do what? So range 10 will try to produce a data starting from 0 till 9. Okay, fine. Now I would like to write a code so where I'll try to go through all of these data, but wherever we will be able to encounter maybe a even number, it should skip that particular part. It should not print that particular data set. So what I can do, I can write for I in a data, okay, and then I can try to write a condition that if I percentile 2 is equal to 0, means if I is even. Okay, so whatever data that we are trying to extract, if I is equal to even number, so which I'm trying to find out with this condition, in that case, do what? In that case, just write a continue. Now what continue does, I'll show you with the help of this example. And here I'm going to print I parallel to a for loop here. So let's try to understand this particular example. Okay, I'll try to give you a manual explanation as well. So here, this will generate a data. Now, what will be the data? So data is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now, this is a data which I will be able to generate. Now, I'm just trying to go through a data one by one with the help of what? With the help of for loop. So every time value of I is going to be, first of all, 0. So if it is 0, it will come over here. It will check that if 0 remainder 2 is equal to 0, which is going to be true. Okay, then there is a statement I have written that execute this particular part, means execute continue part. Continue means don't try to do anything with this data. Let's jump into the next one. Continue means what? It will always try to give a control again back to the for loop. It will not execute anything which is written after this one. So whenever it will encounter continue, the meaning of continue is very simple. By the time you will encounter a continue, directly pass a control to a for loop. Don't even look into other piece of a code. Okay, fine. Now let's suppose it is going to encounter a second data set. Okay, it is going to encounter, let's suppose, a second data set over here, which is going to be 1. So let's suppose I is equal to 1. Okay, fine. So 1 percentile 2 or 1 remainder 2 is equal to 0. It will be false, right? Remainder is equal to 1. So if it is false, it will not even go over here. So where it will come? It will come to the next line, print it. Okay, fine. Next is 2. So I is equal to what? I is equal to 2. Now it will check once again that 2 percentile 2 is equal to 0. Yes, it is going to be true. If it is true, come over here. Now once it will encounter this continuous statement, once it is going to encounter this one, pass a control directly to the for loop. Don't even execute a next line. So continue means wherever I would like to skip something, right? Wherever I would like to skip something, I can try to introduce a continuous statement over there, so that directly it will pass a control to the loop, and loop will keep on looking for the next data, next data, next data. So I can write any kind of a condition. So continue in general is been used to skip some sort of a information based on the condition that you are going to put up. Okay, fine. Now let me give you some other examples. I'll give you interesting example for a continue, guys. Don't worry about it. Okay, so this is just one simple plain small example which I have given to you. Now here, let's suppose I'm going to write name variable, and name is SUDHNSHUKUMR. Okay, now here, so here what I want is, I want to skip k, let's suppose. So whenever I'm going through this entire string with the help of for loop, I don't want to print k, or maybe I don't want to print this space. What I want is, so extract this data and this data, but don't try to print, or don't try to print a space in between a data. Just try to print all the character, but not the space in between. So how I will be able to achieve this one? So I can write a code over here. So for I in name, so that I will go through the character one by one. So first S, then U, then D and H and so on, right? So I'll go through a character one by one. Then I can write a condition that if I is equal to what? I is equal to a space. So I have given a space over here. So if I is equal to a space, I can simply write continue, don't do anything. And then here I can try to print I after coming from a if statement. So indentation is very much important. As you can see, SUDHANSHU. Now there was a space, right? There was a space in my original data, but here we do not have a space at all, right? We do not have a space at all. It is printing KUMAR. So again, with the help of continue, I am able to skip this particular part, and continue means simple. Wherever encounter a continue, just give a control again immediately, right? Give a control immediately to whom? To the for loop. That's it. So this is again one of the interesting example that you all will be able to find out. Now here, I'm going to take a list, right? Now in this list, I have a data. So let me create a data in bit different way. So I have a data, and again I have a positive data and I have a negative data over here. Fine. So I have a positive data, I have a negative data over here. Now what I want is, I don't want a negative data. So wherever there is a negative data, just skip it. And wherever there is a positive data, just try to print it. Okay. So this is the statement which I have supposed to write. So what I will do is, for I in L, I'll go through each and every data one by one. I'll try to check. So if I is lesser than 0, means if it is negative, do what? Continue and then print the rest. Print the rest. Now you will be able to find out that it is just printing what? 2 it is printing, 4 it is printing, 5 it is printing, 6 it is printing. Rest of the data, or maybe this particular data, was a negative data, so it is not printing those negative data. It is just trying to filter out what? A positive data out of my entire list, right? So again here, whenever this condition will be applied, whenever this condition is going to be true, continue will be encountered, and continue is going to give a control directly to the for loop. It will not even come to the next line where I'm trying to print a information, I'm trying to print the data. So this is one of the again example for all of us. Now here, so let me give you some other example. So the next example I can try to give you is this one. Let's give me another list, another data set. This is going to be the interesting one. So here again we have a 0. Okay, fine. Now this is a list that we have. Fine. This is the list that we have. Now there is a number. There is a number. Maybe the value of this number is equals to 10. Fine. Okay. Now I'll try to write a divide operation. So extract each and every data from this list and then divide it by 10. No, sorry. So extract a data from this one and divide this 10 by this data. Okay, divide this 10 by this data. I can do it. So I can write a loop for I in L, right? For I in L. So here try to print what? So print number divided by I. Means extract a data one by one and divide this number by that particular data. Now if I'm going to execute it, you all are going to see an error. I'll show you. See, this is the error. So here we are dividing 10 by 3, working fine. This is the result. Dividing 10 by 4, working fine. This is the result. Dividing 10 by 5, working fine. This is the result. Dividing 10 by 6, this is the result. Okay. Now dividing 10 by 0, and we are getting this particular error, 0 division error, because if you are going to divide anything by 0, it is going to be infinity, and in case of programming language, especially in Python, it's a 0 division exception that it is going to raise. So how I can try to avoid it? Yes, how I can try to avoid it? So maybe I can try to take a same piece of code and I can write a logic over here that if I is equal to 0, right? I is equal to 0, continue, means skip it, right? Now execute. See, there is no error this time. Yes, there is no error at all this time, because wherever we have 0, wherever it is going to encounter 0 inside a data, I have just written a statement continue. So continue means don't do anything, means don't go to this particular line. Do what? So just go back to the for loop immediately. Yes, go back to the for loop immediately. You don't have to do anything over here. So this is how continue again helping us out to avoid an error which I was getting in my previous operation. So this is again amazing example of a continue that you all will be able to find out. Okay, fine. Now let me give you another example. So here I'm going to create a data. Now data is available inside a list. Inside a list, again we have a list. So inside a list 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now there is another list inside a list 3, 4, 5, 6. Now here I can try to maybe write 3, 4 only. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 inside a list I'm going to keep. Okay. So here you will be able to see that we have a list, and again inside this we have again a list. So we have basically list inside a list. Okay, fine. So we have basically list inside a list in this particular data set. Now what I want is, so here I just wanted to go through, or I just would like to access those element, those list inside a list, nested list, where my data size is more than or equal to 3. Wherever my data size is less than equal to 3, sorry, less than 3, not equal to. So equal to condition, I'll take it in another way. So here, wherever I have a data size more than or equal to 3, take it, means print it. Wherever I have a data size lesser than 3, as you can see, here we have only 2 data set. So what is the size? Size is lesser than 3, obviously, right? So don't try to consider this one, just skip this particular part. So how I'm going to write a code, let's try to understand. So for I in data, so I'll try to go through a data one by one, right? So in I, first iteration is going to be this data, I is equal to this list. Then in second iteration, I is equal to this list. Third iteration, I is equal to this list. Fourth iteration, I is equal to going to be this particular list. Okay. Now here, I'll try to check. I can write a condition that if length of I, right, length of I is greater than, sorry, lesser than 3. If it is lesser than 3, do what? So continue. And for rest of the data, just try to print it. As you can see, it is skipping this particular list because it will encounter length of I. So length function, this is an inbuilt function. So I'm just trying to find out the length. So length of this particular data set is 2. 2 is lesser than 3, true. So it will encounter continue. So whenever it will encounter continue, it is not going to execute this one. It will go back to the for loop and it will work in that particular way. So I hope this entire example is making sense to all of us. We all are able to understand what is the meaning of a break statement, what is the meaning of a continuous statement, right? So break statement I have already discussed in your previous lecture. So if you have not watched it, please go and watch it, and continue I'm discussing in this particular lecture. So hope you all will be able to understand this entire example and you all are going to practice. So with that, thank you so much. See you again in my next session.